This One News update is brought to you by ANZ. We live in your world.
Violence has hit the Occupy Auckland protest. Our camera was there as a bloodied activist claimed he was assaulted by a security guard. It follows a small legal victory which stopped the council evicting protesters. Other demonstrations across the country are watching what happens in Auckland. We'll go live to One News reporters in Wellington and in Dunedin for the latest there. But first, let's start with Kim Vanell in Auckland. Kim.
For nearly 7 weeks, people here have maintained that this place, Aotea Square, is a public space, and so they, like everyone else, have every right to be here. But today it became clear that perhaps that rule doesn't apply to all. Our cameras were pushed out as a man appeared. He was agitated, he was bleeding, and it was a scene they clearly didn't want us to see.
What happened to you? By the security guard.
This, occupiers say, is the moment their protest turned bloody.
Take the camera off, please.
But it appears they don't want it seen, as the injured man's supporters then turn against our camera.
Don't film it.
They then hide the man, who has now laid a complaint with police, claiming a security guard for a nearby shopping complex used undue force.
We don't want this to be filmed.
It's stark contrast to the jubilation of last night. As protesters heard the council's latest bid to have them evicted has failed.
This is wonderful, you know, we're here on our own terms.
A judge has refused to order protesters out immediately, instead giving them a week to prepare their legal argument for a final hearing. At that point, a binding decision must be made on whether protesters can stay. If the judge decides that no, they must leave and they refuse to, protesters could be removed by force and arrested. For these activists, the judge's interim decision is some validation.
We wanted to delay it and we got it, and so we're happy with that.
We're in celebratory mode this morning, you know, the rights of citizens to protest, to gather together and to stand up to the system have been upheld by the New Zealand courts.
But one law expert says those celebrations may be premature.
It's no victory at all. It's just what you'd expect a judge to do in these circumstances, give them a fair hearing. So that's all they're getting. They're just getting a bit more time to prepare their defence.
Protesters say they hope to avoid court and instead reach an agreement with the council about an alternative location, but they may not end up having a choice.
I think it's really just coming to a countdown process, and I'm sure by Christmas the area is likely to be clear.
The council hoping they go freely, not fighting. So this whole issue goes back to court on December the 7th. The council is seeking what's called a permanent injunction, and if that's granted by the court, it will set a legal precedent, which essentially means that council bylaws, at least in this case, come before the Bill of Rights.
In Auckland, Kim Vanell, thank you.
This One News update is brought to you by ANZ. We live in your world.